what happened was at the end of season 5, we sat down, the producer sat down with Heather, and we looked at the show and we said, we've done 85 hours at this point. An average of 3 stories per hour gives you about 250 stories. So you can imagine how, having written 250 stories, how do you keep coming up with new ideas? Well, what we felt was that we needed something in the show which would impact everybody's life in ways that it had never been impacted before.
But then the search for Georgie was on, and it was a national search, and it really, to me, felt a lot like when we were looking for Amy the first time in the pilot, because you know, this character was really going to hinge on the casting. And so it's something that could have lasted a couple of episodes, or if the performer was excellent, could last for years.
Georgie is a fantastic addition to our family in Heartland. Again, I was so pleasantly surprised to see a young, natural talent emerge. When we decided to create that character, it was with some trepidation, because that's an age at which it's not always easy to find real and natural talent.
So Georgie is a runaway, and she was in foster care. And her brother is now 18, so he's out of foster care. So she ends up at the Heartland Ranch and gets a hold of her brother, and her brother pretty much says no. So she ends up at the Heartland Ranch, and she stays there.
We have continued to, this season, in season 6, put more and more on her shoulder. By the time we get to 9 and 10, her storyline is so huge, and she's so good in it. And she just breaks your heart, and those big brown eyes, they just completely make you melt.
We wanted one of those classic, wonderful characters. A character like Scout in To Kill a Mockingbird, a character like Anne in Anne of Green Gables, a spunky kid. And that led us down the road to a kid who was running away from something. We didn't really know what when we started arcing, but we wanted her to be a runaway. And that sparked the idea of a horse that's a runaway. And we paralleled that storyline in the opening episode, the runaway horse, the runaway child. And that actually became our arc, to watch what happened to that runaway horse through the course of 18 episodes and what happened to that runaway child.
So frequently in our industry, we cast older in an effort to get a higher acting skill, perhaps. With Georgie, I know Amber was like this too. She was the real deal, so you could shoot her and get well beyond your expectations from her. With Alicia playing Georgie, incredible depth, a beautiful complexity. She's the real deal. She's, as I understand it, 11 playing 11, and able to reach so very deep. And yet an incredible enthusiasm. If she runs, the camera people can't keep up with her. She's got enthusiasm and physical skills as well. And she's from a Heartland point of view, she has one of the greatest gifts, which is a love of animals. And so she doesn't have to manufacture anything. She's fearless. In fact, we have to try and pull her back once in a while just to keep her, safe and there for the next day. She's wonderful. And great truth in her eyes. I got to direct her in some very deep scenes, some scenes where she had to reach very deep. And she went there willingly, and she went there at a level far beyond any 11-year-old I've ever worked with, and I would confess almost as far as any feature film I've ever seen.
It's interesting because she's now, with her personality, she can create all kinds of possible tensions, possible humor, with all our various characters, because she connects with all of them, with Lou, with Jack, with Amy. She's got this great connection with the horse, with Phoenix, and you might even say that she's an Amy in the making, you know. She's just stepped right in as if she's always been part of the family, which is, I think, a testament to the cast and crew who have taken her under their wing. And it's almost as if she was born to be part of this family.
You know, our first day on set, we didn't know what to expect. We get guest stars in all the time, and you never know what's going to happen if you haven't met these people before. And considering that Georgie's only 11 years old and it's one of her breakout projects, really, we were all super thrilled, and you know, we were kind of blown away with how she responded to the actual task and the toil that a film set can be.
So the other day, Amy and I were out.
Yeah, we were up at the fishing camp, and there was these wild horses, and it was so magical. There was this foal.
And I asked Amy.
Well, there was a shooting star. It was just so magical.
I asked Amy if she wanted to marry me, and she said yes.
One of the final moments in that episode where Amy and Ty actually announced their engagement, there's a hit on Jack where Jack is sort of a little bit looking off into the distance, and I think that in one moment may have captured Jack's season, so to speak. Amy and Ty engaged. Georgie has sort of come through the gauntlet of the social system and has ended up at Heartland. And our season, really, see, that's a pretty cool poster, but it says right on it, it's a new beginning.